A electric motorcycle? You guys know I'm stoked for this. Let's go. What's going on, guys? Chaseontwowheels here at Mountain Motorsports in Roswell, Georgia. In front of me, I've got this 2023 Zero DSRX. Zero obviously being the electric motorcycle manufacturer. This is their adventure model, which should be super interesting. You guys know I'm like a kid in a candy store with adventure bikes right now. I cannot wait to see how this thing is and talk through this with you guys. Zero was awesome enough to loan us this for a month, so we're actually going to get to do a 1-month loan. So make sure to subscribe to find out how that is. But it's a first ride. We got to see what this thing looks like, and we got to see what it sounds like. Bo's gonna have to put audio because it's electric. Alright guys, that's what it looks like. That's what it sounds like now. This first ride is not sponsored, but it is supported by WBRGarage.com, where we are building a 2018 Yamaha R6 into an R6M. If you guys want to win that motorcycle, you can go to WBRGarage.com, grab a membership or grab some merch, and you will be automatically, through the website, entered to win that motorcycle. We are actually going to give that R6 away when we're done building it, so make sure to go check out that website while you can. Grab some merch, grab a membership, and get your entries. It's going to be awesome. Speaking of awesome, let's get on this thing. Man, that dude at the bank, just like, I was just standing here, and out of nowhere, it looked like it started snowing, and it's like 80 degrees today. And I'm like, what is this? He blew all of the gross nature stuff on the bike. I guess it's an adventure bike. It's supposed to be like that. So, Zero adventure bike. Let's get the quad lock on. Everybody asks, what phone mount to use, Chase? The answer is quad locks. I love them. It's the only phone mount I would ever use on a motorcycle. Check them out. The phone just clicks into it, and it's amazing. Zero DSRX. The electric adventure bike that I don't know if it is an adventure bike, but we will find out today. Sitting on it, so I'm 5'10", got a 32-inch inseam, and surprisingly have bent legs today. Did not expect that on an adventure bike. So let's get it turned on. You guys notice, no clutch. We've got no shifter down there. We've got nothing, and we've got all of our screens right here. All we do is turn it on, twist throttle, and it will go, which is crazy. Before we get going, I want to show you guys a trick that this thing can do. Hold that in, parking mode, like this, and now it'll go backwards. It literally has reverse. How nutty is that? All right, enough playing around with this. So guys, there's a lot of modes here. We're in eco mode right now. I'm gonna change it into rain mode. Yeah, we'll start off in rain mode. And let's get this thing going. Absolute silence. Kinda weird. If you guys are fans of motorcycles, I imagine you are since you're watching this video, and you're into Discord. We have a motorcyclist Discord that you guys should check out. Links in the description down below. No cars, let's go on the 2023 DSRX from Zero. A very moderate acceleration in rain mode. Okay, that's interesting. Guys, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be in rain mode on this. Rain mode's cool. It ain't raining. It's a literal beautiful day, so I'm going up to standard mode. That's a little bit more of the power that I was wanting out of an electric bike. Thank you, sir. So guys, the DSRX adventure bike from Zero, this thing is really interesting. Comes in at a price point of $24,000, which puts it in competition with some real heavy hitter adventure bikes. So this thing better be bringing a lot to the table. But it's the first ride. Let's talk about body position real quick. The seat, I'm kind of trying to figure out the seat. In the front of the seat that I'm sitting on now, I fit very comfortably, but if I throttle up, I get into throwing back to the end of the seat. But if I sit at the back of the seat, then my arms have to extend far forward for me to reach the controls. This is not a safe position to be in, my God. That's the fun acceleration that I like. So the seat's really comfortable if I sit up front, but if I sit back in the seat, it kind of cups my butt. But the seat is so big, I can't have both of those. As far as my leg positioning, my legs are very comfortable. They're just going down and back a little bit. Got plenty of room to stand up on the bike if I wanted to. The handlebars are a little high, but I kind of understand why, because, you know, the handlebars need to be in a position where I can control the bike here while I'm barely going, but they also need to be in range if I'm standing up. And I feel like the handlebars are in a decent position. I will say, when I've ridden this motorcycle while sitting on the back of the seat, where the seat's kind of wide and my whole butt can sit on the seat, my arms do end up getting a little tired, because as you guys can see, I'm sitting on the back of the seat now. My arms are extended straight out in order to reach the handlebars. I typically sit up here. I'm now sitting on the front, and look how bent my arms are. A lot different depending on how you sit on this bike, based on how the tank is positioned. I feel like Zero probably wants you sitting more up front. Makes it a lot easier to control the motorcycle up here. I'm trying not to jump this gap. I can't do it anymore. Look at that silent acceleration. It goes without saying, guys, at least in the city where you're going to get a range of 180 miles, this thing is awesome. You would think with a weight of around the 550 range that this thing would be a lot to deal with in a city setting. Not the case at all. I don't know. Like, obviously, Zero put the battery at the very, very lowest part of this motorcycle. The battery on an electric bike is generally the heaviest part. I was kind of worried seeing the weight of this thing, and adventure bikes typically being a little taller. I was like, man, you got to really worry about weight management in a situation like that. Clearly, Zero understood that and took that seriously. This thing has all the maneuverability you would expect out of an ADV bike with all of the weight, and it's still super easy to control. I've got no problems whipping it about. Super fun ride, especially with that instant torque that an electric bike has. This thing might be made for big adventures and stuff like that, but in the city, it does great. We do have a really wide handlebar here, as you guys can see. I feel like that helps it give it the adventure characteristic that it needs to have. Now, we're in standard mode, which is giving me more power than rain mode, and it's giving me next to no brake regen, if any. So I'm going to change modes from standard. Are we going to sport already? Let's go to eco mode first, my guy. Jeez. So the modes on the Zero, let's talk about those for a minute, because they're very interesting. With the modes, you're going to get a few primary changes. You're going to get traction control change, ABS change, you're going to get brake regen on or off change, and you're going to get power delivery change. So a lot of things changing mode by mode. Now, eco mode, I find eco mode very interesting, and I'll show you guys later in the video. Eco mode is essentially you putting this motorcycle into, I want to maximize my range, because it gives you max brake regen, which means if I'm letting go of the bike and I'm moving, the regen will slow me down. It's very similar to like engine braking. Then power is like seems like to be about half power or low power. Then traction control in street mode and road mode on the ABS. What's interesting is Eco mode will not let you go over, I think, 75 miles an hour, which is really weird. You get up to 75 and it like cuts your power. And I assume that's because it's Eco mode. It's trying to give you the best range possible. And from what I can tell, the moment that this bike goes over that 70 to 75 range, like the mileage you can get out of the battery is absolutely god-awful. So Eco mode's trying to help you out with that. I really don't like that, like, because I found that out on the highway, which is kind of terrifying because I was going like 65 and I throttled up and then the bike just stopped throttling at 70. So if you do have this motorcycle, just be wary, be careful with that. I've really enjoyed Eco mode generally, but that kind of screwed me up on the highway. It kind of scared me off of Eco mode. The other mode that I end up liking a lot is Canyon mode, and I'll put that on now because it's my favorite. We'll do Canyon mode until the highway, and I'll put it in sport mode on the highway for you guys. Canyon mode's really interesting. It gives you all the power, and you guys will see after this turn. It gives you all the power, but it keeps on brake regen. Canyon mode on this motorcycle responds the most similarly to how a very fast regular motorcycle feels. You get strong engine braking or brake regen on this bike, and you get incredible power. If you're a street rider, I imagine the majority of you guys are going to be wanting to ride this thing in Canyon mode. Skip all the other modes, go straight to Canyon mode. I think you guys will have the best time with that. Also, I couldn't find a ton of information on the modes, which is a little frustrating. When I was doing my research on this bike, I was like, why are the modes not defined? I feel like Zero should have done a better job of that on their website. All right, we're going. Leaning it over. What lane? Holy shit. Canyon mode makes you... This bike feels like the bike it should in Canyon mode. That's one of my issues, though, and I'll talk about it once we get going here. The bike might be too good for the seat. That's such a strange sentence. Okay, so like I told you guys, Canyon mode, you get all the power. Like, gets you in a lot of trouble power, and you get all of the brake regen. The problem is when we talk about how this seat is, and I told you guys this seat is really long, like front to back. And I feel the most comfortable on this bike in the front part of the seat. In Canyon mode, if I'm going in a straight line, I am going to have a problem because Canyon mode is going to throw me to the back of this seat very quickly if I'm not sitting in the back of the seat. So I end up sitting back here so that I have something to like hold me in place when I go this fast. God. Sheesh. That's insane. As I pass a cop. God dang it. That's another problem. This bike is so fast, it will instantly get you to 80 miles an hour. So, I've got this problem with the seat. I don't know really where to sit. I just kind of deal with being thrown back, and I try to hold on for dear life with my legs. Overall, as you guys can see, for city riding, this thing is just destructive. It will get you anywhere quickly. The balance is fantastic. You can maneuver the bike all around with no problem. It is the best of times. I love this thing for the city. And now we're getting on the highway, which, if you guys did not know, is not the city. So, we got a 40 to 80 pull to do, and I imagine it's going to happen relatively quickly. The good news is I don't have to worry about what gear I'm in, which is exciting. Oh my God. 40 to 80 pull on a damn electric bike. This is gonna be something. This is one of those bikes I'm actually kind of nervous to do the 40 to 80 on. We might have a record though, which would be really neat. It'll be a 40 to 80 pull record. We're gonna wait for these cars to get out of the way. All right guys, 2023 Zero DSRX 40 to 80. On your mark, get set, go. Shit, shit, ah! Woo! That was terrifying. My God. All the preload out of the front just let go. Woo! We are in sport mode on a Zero motorcycle. Let's go, fam. So guys, we're on the highway with a Zero DSRX, and let's talk about wind real quick. I'm not getting wind till about right here, which is shooting it right over my head. I'm getting a little turbulence at the top, and I do have the windscreen adjusted all the way up. As you guys can see, it is a one-hand operation, which I love that. Now for power on the highway, still no problem. It's nowhere near the amount of power you get going lower speeds, but there is still plenty of passing power here on the highway. I do want to show you guys while we're on the highway, if you go into eco mode, what happens. All right, we're in eco mode now. So what? I'm just gonna throttle all the way up. For one, I'm getting next to no power, and it will not go over 75. Look at that, that's max pin on throttle. So yeah, caps you out at 75 it seems, which it makes sense. It's cool to have that mode for that reason if you want it, but I don't want it. I want canyon mode, which I enjoy. Now, as far as the wind on my shoulders, the wind doesn't start on my shoulder till about right here, so I'm getting it on there. I think I would want their aftermarket bigger windscreen if I was gonna do a lot of touring on this bike, but I don't know like how many of you guys are gonna be doing touring on a motorcycle that at highway speeds gets 55 miles per charge. On a standard charger, it takes around 2 hours to get to 95%, I believe. And then if you have a rapid charger, I think you can get to 95 from 0 in 1 hour. You guys have to let me know in the comments if you guys look at this bike as a touring bike or a touring capable motorcycle. As far as stability, incredibly stable here on the highway. I got no problems. Bike's not going all the way around, and we have cruise control. But cruise control is over here. So the way to engage cruise control, you're gonna hold the cruise control button, it'll pop up. And now you got to press it one more time to engage it. It'll tell you the speed there on the next to the little icon, and you're good to go. That's cruise control. You have to press it again to disengage. So kind of normal for cruise control. I wish I could actuate the throttle to disengage cruise control. That would be my favorite. Overall though, touring wise here on the highway, this thing's great. So touring wise, really good if you can get past all of the range issues. So let's get her leaned over and see what's up. Man, very compliant. Just you keep asking it to go over more, and it just says, okay, cool, no problem, I got you. I will say while we're on the turn, fully adjustable suspension, front and rear, so you can dial it in. We'll talk more about suspension here in a minute. All right, guys, I'm going to try to navigate out of this traffic, and while I do that, let's go see what the guys in the camera car think about the Zero DSRX, thanks to our buddies over at Cardo.
All right, my favorite thing about the Zero has got to be that super easy adjustable windshield. It's so nice to be able to turn a big knob and move that thing up and down willy-nilly.
I like this thing. It's me-sized, but it's also not me-sized. That's a huge bike.
She's big.
It's very imposing.
Thank you guys so much in the camera car for your opinions, and even more so, thank you, Cardo. If you guys want to get a 10% discount on Cardos, I got a link for you in the description. Cardo's the absolute best Bluetooth unit. We use them here at the shop. Highly recommend them. Love them. Long time. Go check them out. All right, guys. So let's talk about power modes. As I've told you guys, canyon mode is my absolute favorite. And if I'm in the city and I just want to chill, I typically find myself in eco mode. But the amount of power that you're going to get out of an electric bike, especially at low RPMs and low speeds like we're going right now, the power is incredible and hard to compare to any other motorcycle. It is instant and it is strong, and then it tapers off eventually. So it's almost inverted on what you would regularly expect out of a motorcycle. Just be careful if you ride one of these for the first time. The power can be a little overwhelming. Now, when it comes to suspension, let's talk about that for a second. We do have a fully adjustable suspension front and rear. The rear is just like a little twist knob. You can just customize that to however you want it. I haven't played around with this suspension really enough, but the suspension gets me a little... I don't know how I feel about the suspension. I get way more feedback from the rear than I ever have on a motorcycle, to the point that it kind of worries me sometimes. Like, I can literally feel every little thing happening on the road. That much feedback to me gets me a little like, Jesus, is everything going all right down there? And I also feel like the front is really soft. Like, when I brake, I get a lot of front compression. And admittedly, guys, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge suspension nerd. I don't understand it a ton. That's one of the things I want to get better at, but I feel like this bike, everything's adjustable, so you should be able to adjust the suspension to get it exactly like you want. But for right now, the settings I have it in, I'm not really there with it. One of the things I would like to see on a bike that costs 24 grand would be electronic suspension. That would be freaking awesome, and I'd be all here for it. But they probably got to save money somewhere. Now, as far as the braking, which is kind of interesting, because depending on the mode you're in, you might not really need that much braking. For the brakes, we do have Chaseontwowheels brakes on here, which is essentially, I think, Spanish Brembo, which is what we looked up the other day. They work incredibly well, but one of the things I have found based on the modes I like riding in is I don't use the brakes a lot. I use engine regen to slow me down, and I've got to the point, the more I ride this bike, the more you can start dialing in when to let off the throttle, to the point where you almost, like, I use braking on this bike to stop me from 5 miles an hour down, and that's about it. That's one of the really cool things about electric bikes, is you can utilize that engine regen, and it's awesome because you don't have to worry about anything other than throttle to control all power, which is kind of strange, but also I kind of love it. It's a very fun riding experience for a motorcyclist that's used to a regular bike. While we're stuck at a red light, I can show you guys, this is the charger. It is magnetically closed, does that, and if you open this key, this box opens up, and there's a compartment for storage. I'll show you guys that when we do our little walk around video part. Still not used to the silence of this thing. It's still kind of nutty. Alrighty guys, let's talk about the controls up here. We got the starter switch and the cruise control on the right side. You guys know how I feel about the cruise control being on the right side. I don't like cruise controls being on the right side because it makes me have to actuate it with my right hand, which should always be on the throttle. It's specifically bad on this bike because I ride this bike with engine regen modes. So when I let go of this throttle, it starts slowing me down. So an extra big deal that that's there. Don't like that. These other buttons do a fine job, but I do feel like I expect a little more fit and finish on a bike at this price point. Some of this feels a little cheaper than it should. I don't get a really good click when I go back and forth on this button, the mode button. So I would like that updated a little bit, just in my personal opinion. If I'm paying this much for a bike, especially that's an electric bike that's almost like a technology product, I want really high level stuff, and I don't really get that over here. As far as the grips feel great. I have a great handle and a great grip on them. Love the size, love the material. It's totally here for that. The lever, because there's only one, it is adjustable. It's a Chaseontwowheels lever, so it matches. It's blacked out. It's got the little breakaway point at the end. I got no problem with the lever. I actually love it. I love that it's adjustable. The screen looks pretty cool, but I can tell you guys from having ridden this bike a little bit, when the sun is directly behind you, the screen cannot be seen at all, which is kind of crappy. That sucks if you're in that position, because like you literally, like this morning riding in, I had the sun directly behind me coming up, and I literally had to move my helmet in position to be able to see that screen. Now, to be fair, that doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. It's something I want to bring up. I have no problem with the quality of the screen. It's a very high quality screen. Like, everything is really crisp on it, but I don't love the way you have to interact with the screen. I feel like, again, for a motorcycle that is an electric bike, I feel like the general audience for this bike is going to generally be more techie style people, and the user interface is just a little more cumbersome to get around and use. What I mean by that, oh, you know what? Let me give a pro. I love the fact that they've got it to where all the things you need to change are very easy. You hold this to the left, that's how you change the heated grips, which it has, which is cool. You press it in, it goes away. You press and hold the mode button, and you can cycle through the modes and see what's going to change, and all that gets changed, right? Cool, we love that. If you hold it to the right, you can change the traction control mode on the fly. We love that. Right? Those are all modes you would change while you're going. When we get up here in a second, I'm going to show you what you got to do to get into the actual info of the bike. And once you do that, that's where I don't really love this. So let's get pulled over. We'll do a run through of the modes real quick, or the dash and how you have to change stuff. And then we'll do a walk around the bike. All right, guys. So check out how the dash is going to work. And also, sorry, it's so gross. The weather here in Georgia, like, you can clean something today, it'll be disgusting tomorrow. All right, so we're chilling, right? We're not moving. If we hold the mode button, it's going to do what it regularly does, right? It's going to want to change the mode. Kill switch off, hold the mode button. Now we can get into all of these preferences, which is cool that this is all here. This is where you can go to parking mode. Then you have to hit this button, and now you can reverse, which is cool. To get out of that, you have to do this, and you have to do that, and now you can go again. Now, if you hold it again, we can go back in. Extended range charging. Oh, okay, cool. Let's click that. Preferences. Everything looks cool. All right, so to get out of this, what do? I go back. Okay. Oh, no. Going back just goes to the bottom of that menu. So do I hold back? I have to hold back. I go all the way out. I do a long press, and I go back in, and now I'm at my battery, and now I do this kind of stuff, and now I want to get out, but I can't go back. The whole point of everything I'm trying to make with all that is when you have a menu like that and you only have a left-right, it is a little confusing, and I don't think it's very obvious for the user on how to control that. Wish there was a better way to do that, and I think I have higher expectations because this is an electric bike, and I want it to be very techy. And I don't feel like this bike is very techy in that regard. So, this is the 2023 Zero DSRX. As you guys can see, the battery, which is this giant box right here, is massive. That is how you're going to get the range that you're getting out of this motorcycle. The actual motor is this little curvy point. You can see the Z-Force 75-10. Listen, guys, I do not have enough knowledge to spout all of the information about this bike. I'll put it here on the screen. Thank you, Bo, for including that. If you're a guy that understands all those numbers, great. Here's the numbers you need to know. It's fast as hell. It has a city range of 180 miles. It has a 55 range of like 100. And then it has if you're going 70 or over, it has a 55 mile range. That's where we're at. You know what I mean? Those are your numbers. All right, so we got rear brake, still Zhejiang. We have the adjustable rear shock. You can adjust the preload down here. As you guys saw, the front, we have fully adjustable, which is great. We've got this really cool sage green color, which I feel like is pretty unique for a motorcycle. And I honestly think this is one of Zero's better looking bikes. I love the way this bike looks. They also have these really cool black luggage racks you can add onto them that it really fits the whole vibe, but you add weight like that and it's going to affect your range. So that can be an issue. This is the seat that I was talking about. Like, look how wide this is. My butt sits here and up, which is where I want to be, but then when I throttle up and act like a dumbass, I get thrown back into this. But very comfortable seat, very solid job. Obviously, it's ADV bike status, so we have a really big pillion seat and luggage options back here. Overall, pretty neat. You guys can see we have, interestingly, millimeter sizing here on the dash, so you can raise it and lower it, and that way you can keep up with where you like it. That's in the lowest position. Really cool bike so far, in city riding at least. I don't know if this is an ADV-able bike, and I'll explain that here in a minute. But before I do that, I'm going to grab my phone off my quad lock, and I am going to do some vertical content for you guys. If you guys are on TikTok or Instagram, on TikTok we are at Chaseontwowheels, on Instagram we are at C2WPics. Go follow over there, and you guys can check out the vertical content I'm about to film. Alrighty guys, y'all can check those out on the little social medias. A couple other things I didn't mention is belt drive. We do not have a chain. We have belt drive on here, which is cool. Final thing, I told you guys I would show you this. So normally this is a gas tank, right? That's where we fuel our bikes up. But this is a little compartment. Now, you can't fit a helmet in here, but, you know, as far as, like, tiny stuff like a jacket, a hat, a wallet, and keys, no problem at all. There's actually plenty of space in there. I actually love that. And there's actually some Hondas that have a bike or have a little storage area like that that are really cool. Alrighty, guys. That is the walk around. That's everything. Let's get on this thing. Let's see if it can do a decent handlebar lock test, and then let's talk about purchasing or pass and why I don't know if this is an ADV bike. Handlebars. Look at the lock. My goodness gracious. That is insanity. Really good showing on the handlebar lock test. That is why I love these freaking ADV bikes, dude. The ability to just maneuver all over the place is phenomenal. Alright guys, question is, am I going to purchase or pass on the DSRX? This may surprise you guys, but I'm going on purchase because I have loved, like all caps loved, every mile of riding I have done on this motorcycle. I will say, I'm going purchase with an asterisk. I'm saying purchase as a city bike. Now, to be fair, I don't got 24 grand to spend on a bike that I would love the shit out of riding around the city. But if you do, you will love this bike. It is so fun playing with the throttle and the brake regen. You don't have to use brakes at all, and that's just really fun. You got this inbuilt storage, so you can like go and take it and like get stuff. You don't even have to have any extra bags or a book bag. There's just a lot of cool things about this bike in that regard. Now, we have to cover the elephant in the room. This is a adventure motorcycle. This motorcycle, like all adventure bikes, is made to be taken to some faraway place, far away, an hour, a couple hours away, to find some adventure to go on. Maybe like a dirt road or like a dirt mountain pass that you got to go up to get to some cool overlook. You want to take this bike on an adventure. I feel like 180 miles of adventurable distance is great. I think that's phenomenal. I would be exhausted personally if I rode 180 miles in one day off-road. My problem is, for adventuring, at least where I'm located, I'm going to have to drive or ride an hour to an hour and a half. And I'm in North Georgia. I've got great mountains really close by. But I'm going to have to ride about an hour to an hour and a half to get to the adventure. If I have to ride that long, I'm going to have to charge this motorcycle. If I start at 100, I'm going to have to charge before I even get to the adventure. And I think that is the primary issue with the DSRX. Like 180 miles of range, which I imagine this bike can probably totally get. I am about 20 minutes from mountain. We've done our entire first ride route, and I rode to mountain, and we're only at 72%. And as you guys can see, I've been riding like an absolute jackass. But I feel like it's got plenty of range for a full day of off-road riding. I think the problem becomes if you have to ride to your adventure, you basically have to ride most of the way to your adventure. Hopefully there's a Tesla charger or some sort of fast charger. Let's now consider where are most adventures. They are out in the wilderness or out in the boonies. The boonies don't got Tesla chargers, you know what I'm saying? Like, Tesla chargers are in the city where you get plenty of range. And I think that uncohesiveness of where are you going to have fast chargers compared to where are you going to take this motorcycle, I feel like that is like the major issue. If I'm going to be honest, dude, I've got no problem riding this bike to an off-road area and then chilling out for an hour and then go off-road all day and then charge it up when I get back. Like a 1 hour charge all the way to 95% on a rapid charger, that's not a problem. I would do that. You know, that'd give me a time to have a break. You're not gonna find those type of chargers when you're out in the areas where you're gonna really be off-road. And I think that kind of ruins this bike as an adventure bike. It's got nothing to do with the bike. Zero's motorcycles are really getting to that range numbers that I'm personally looking for. And if you guys know me at all, you know that I'm 100% here for the electrification of automobiles and motorcycles. I love this out of all the electric bikes I've got to ride. This one, I think, is currently my favorite. I love this bike a lot. I think it's a phenomenal motorcycle. I just think when you have to call it an adventure bike and you have to put all the pieces together, it starts to fall apart, unfortunately. That's all I've got to say. We are going to be doing a 1-month review on this thing. Zero was nice enough to loan it to us for a little while. So I'm riding this thing every day, and I'm going to find out what I feel about it on a day-to-day ride. And I'm going to have to go for a ride day with it to really feel like, can I get a full day of riding in on it? If you guys want to check those videos out, make sure to be subscribed to the channel to see them. And if you enjoyed this video, you got to the end, make sure to hit that like button. If you're at the end, you got the outro crew. Put OC in your comment when you comment down below. Let me know how you guys feel about this bike and should we call it an adventure bike. Here's another video I think you guys will enjoy. I'm Chaseontwowheels. You guys go ride safe out there, and I'll see you on the next one. Later.